Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Mulder. And since today is Memorial Day, I decided I'm going to do a special show and pay tribute to probably one of the greatest warriors of the 21st century. That man's name was Charles Cosimano, aka Uncle Chucky. I knew this gentleman. We first when we first met, I think we just corresponded back and forth the emails. I would joke with him about a couple of things that he wrote in his books about, oh, bondage and that kind of a thing. And I always thought that was a satire, or I thought he was just joking and making fun of that particular practice. And I one of the very first questions I asked Chuck was, "Hey Chuck, all this bondage stuff that you talk about in your books, this is just a joke, right? I mean, you're not really, serious about the stuff." And his response was, "Hell yeah, I'm serious." The thing about Chuck that I don't think very few people know, and he did say this publicly many times, so I don't mind repeating it. He was the founder of the very first sex dungeon in Chicago back, I think, in the early mid 70s, maybe. And and they went, he had a vast, friendship with that particular community, and it came in all shapes and sizes and proclivities, I have to say. And but I asked him a couple of questions about it, and I was just really curious what how you get something out of that. And basically he told me it was an energy transference. So I said, "Oh, okay. All right, that's interesting." But anyway, that was a little side note. That's something about Chuck that one of the first things again when I first started corresponding with him. And after about a year and a half, 2 years going back and forth, I said, "Hey, Chuck, I want to send you one of my machines." And this is one of my very first machines, guys. I think, again, I'd only started building them, you know, to ship out to clients and what have you, probably uh, about 2 or 3 years before I actually started communicating with Chuck. And so I sent one of my machines, and he just went ape shit. I mean, I was flattered. I have to be honest. I was really flattered. And he reached out to me and wanted to talk to me about this stuff. And so we started developing a Skype chat, and we would go back and forth. You know, 30 minutes to start out with, and then get longer and get longer and get longer until hell, we'd be on Skype talking to each other, for a couple of hours, and then we decided to do a radio show together and or podcast rather, and that went on for a couple of years, and I think it just kind of reached its time, and but the thing about it is, Chuck was hilarious, ladies and gentlemen. In person, the guy was just he had a really, really wicked sense of humor, but the man was a freaking genius. Um, and so, anyway, I developed a relationship with him, and we started developing different machines and what have you. And he was teaching me techniques that he did not write about in the books. And matter of fact, he didn't even make them public to even clients. And I mean, he had that kind of a trust level with him. And I swore to him that I would not reveal most of the secrets that he had given me during my tutelage with him. And so you know it's kind of a large load up that to kind of push around, but this is what I gave him my word. And but you know I have to admit, the things, even what he would release to the public, and or what he would tell a lot of his clients, that was probably about 20, maybe 30% of what he actually knew. He kept a lot of the stuff to his chest, and he let me in on a lot of that. And it, he kind of hints around it in his books. And again, this is nothing, no big secret here. But his greatest fans was the military generals, not only from the U.S. but all around the world. These were among Uncle Chucky's greatest fans, the U.S. military. His books have probably been scanned through. I have personally dealt with a member of the U.S. military uh, and incorporating this technology, and I kind of, in hindsight, I kind of wonder, was this intentional or was it just happenstance? And but neither here nor there. The things this gentleman knew was absolutely, it was beyond imagination, and he really kept a lot of it quiet. And but I have to say, because of his work, because of his vision, my life was never the same. Whatever I am today, I directly owe to Charles Cosimano. Um, and I'm going to, I just want him to know, if he ever hears the show, and even if he understands the show, and I'm not trying to be funny here, I'm being serious. That I just want him to realize how important and how much of a change he made on my life and for many other lives. This guy, I think his greatest contribution to the world was he was able to show people how to get their power back. And yeah, he did a little bit of naughtiness along the way. I'm going to tell you a couple of things here. And I know I hope I'm not uh, veering off into different directions, but I'll try to keep this as focused as possible, because basically it's just a stream of consciousness about this guy. Two of the major things that he was involved in was a accident at a place called Chernobyl over in the Ukraine. He was messing around with the operators. He was using a psionic helmet, as a matter of fact. This is a shameless plug, but yeah, he was using a psionic psionic helmet along with his radionics machines, and he was messing with the minds of the operators at this particular power plant over in a place, a Eastern European country that starts with a U and ends with a crane. So that was one of the first things, I think he kind of made public about. The second thing that he did was basically, again, using his own equipment at the time, was getting into the mind of Saddam Hussein and just kind of messing with him and getting him to start wars with his, local tribes and whatever, just to kind of stir things up. And it was really one heck of a ride for him. He really enjoyed that. But he did things during the Cold War against the Russians, and he felt himself to be a patriot. And again, I've used some of his techniques, and they work. I have to say, I went against a certain organization in the Middle East, and the whole idea, without going into too much detail, the whole idea was for them to be annihilated, but with no U.S. casualties. And within 1 to 2 months, the Russians came in and basically killed every one of them. These were bad boys. These were bad actors, as they would say. They were killing innocent civilians. They were destroying historical relics, and they were just a really, I don't know what the heck this deal was, but uh, they were not a friendly type, and they kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And Chuck and I, we kind of felt that when we were always kind of the underdog. We're always going for the helping out the victim. And even though he did a lot of naughty things, the things that he did do, I think ultimately strategically were beneficial to this country. And with that said, Charles Cosimano, you are the one of the greatest warriors I've ever met, and it was a pleasure to know you, my friend. Good day.